we are on Earth, and the Earth is just one planet in the galaxy. You can compare that to an ant on the patio in this backyard. The ant doesn't know that there's more than the patio. He just keeps walking. He doesn't know he's just part of lots of worlds. And the human race is sort of like that. After they discovered what's up there, they know they're only a little part of this huge galaxy. I think there probably are many different kinds of cells and organisms. Some may not be visible, some may not have been discovered, and some may be on places we can't go. And they all might have the same perspective as we do on this, that there might be others.
Yeah. Gotta find yourself in this world. Do that, you'll understand yourself better, and you'll understand this world better. Every day is another journey.
Welcome, my beautiful brothers and sisters, to the Aquarian Adepts, my platform to become your spiritual server. This is your weekly astrological forecast for today, Monday, March 19th of 2018 through Sunday, the 25th of March, 2018. Whew, we are really marching forward really fast through March. It's almost over, guys. This is pretty incredible how fast this year is already moving by. And I gotta say that looking at this week, just at a glance, it seems like there's not that much happening, but really there's a lot happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through day by day and let you all know what's happening this week, what you can expect, and kind of highlight some of the major points. And then I will draw cards at the end for each of the signs of what you can expect to go through this week. So the major transits that we have is that we have the new astrological year. Woo! This is actually the beginning of the new esoteric year. The new year actually begins when the sun enters into Aries, because Aries is being the first sign of the zodiac. So we are technically at the beginning of a new year. This makes sense, starting with the equinox, because by nature, this is springtime. This is when things begin to bud. This is when things begin to come back to life. So it makes sense that we have the new year start here. I'd always thought it was just kind of interesting how we have the new year set in the dead of winter when things just seem to be quiet and not really growing and not really moving forward. And so I think it's interesting how most people celebrate the new year around that time, but really it's like their soul acknowledges this as being the new year. So this is probably why a lot of times people just feel off, because we set these new goals, these new aspirations, these New Year's resolutions in the time when things are still in review period, when things are dead and quiet and silent. This is really the time where you want to set forth new aspirations, new goals, because with the sun moving into Aries, Aries represents, action, getting things done, moving forward. It's the ram, it just butts through. So this is really the time where you want to set your goals, your aspirations for the new year. And it's going to make it more powerful because actions taken during this time really set the seeds and set the tone for the next 12 months. So if you have any type of New Year resolutions or goals or anything that you want to aspire towards, this right now is the time to act, not the beginning of January. So we have the solstice day, which is tomorrow, and that's going to be very interesting. The other major things that we have this week, of course, is Mercury retrograde. Now, I'm sure anyone who who hasn't been living under a rock, whether you're into astrology or not, has heard about Mercury retrograde. Oh no, Mercury retrograde's coming. Oh no. This means that computers are going to mess up and technology is going to mess up. There are going to be miscommunication errors and stuff like that. I don't want you all to be worried. I think this Mercury retrograde is going to not be the toughest one, but certainly a very necessary one. The reason why I say that is because Mercury right now is in Aries. So Aries is the sign of the ego. So when Mercury goes retrograde here, our egos are going to be misfiring to each other. People are going to probably cross your boundaries. You're going to say things that cross other people's boundaries. And that's really because we are still dealing with our old ego. Whenever the sun hits a sign, it re-illuminates that sign, and in many ways it brings healing, clearing, and it kind of upgrades the energies of that sign. So the sun hasn't been in Aries for 12 months, which means that we've been dealing with an old ego for that long. Not only that, but we've gone through so many transits, so many major transits since the sun was in this spot. So really, all of us are operating on the old ego. So this Mercury retrograde is really going to be our opportunity to review the way that our old ego reacts and moves about. Because contrary to popular belief within the spiritual community, you don't want to destroy your ego. We wouldn't have an ego if God didn't want us to have an ego. There's a reason why it exists. There's a reason why the sign Aries exists. There's a reason why this energetic vibration exists. It's because we need that part of ourselves that is going to act, that is going to move forward, that is a little impulsive, right? That actually does want to claim a bit of a self, even though we are all one, though we're all reflections of each other. But there's a reason why we have this sense of self. But we have to understand that since the sun just went into Pisces, is finishing in Pisces today, that all of our spirits have been upgraded to this new plateau, this new level, this new stage where we're going to project our life out from that area. And we're going to live now in this higher spiritual plane. This is what happened, especially with the new moon here and the sun conjuncting Chiron and all of our deep wounds coming out. This is really major because when we go through such intense internal changes, when the sun hits Aries, like especially what it's doing right now with this solstice, it means that our egos are not fully in line with that spiritual evolution that we all have just gone through. So Mercury retrograde here, it's really perfect. There's no mistakes in the universe. There's no mistakes in this because it's showing that, okay, we went through all of these spiritual internal changes and upgrades. We probably have made decisions about things that we want to do, things we want to act on, but Mercury retrograde is going through a review period pretty much the entire time while the sun is in Aries. And it's going to be asking us, okay, yes, this is how you probably would have reacted or acted in the past. But how can we react or act in the present or the future considering all of the spiritual evolution that we've gone through? Because if you act and react in the old way, you're probably not going to be in line and calibrated to that new spiritual evolution, that new spiritual understanding that we all have gone through while the sun was in Pisces. So Mercury retrograde, this is a very much so needed one because we have to go through the review period. Like I said, we all have had these different ideas, thoughts that we really want to push forward. And since we have all this energy in cardinal signs, we have so much energy in the sign of Capricorn, now that Mars is here too, and Aries, it's really about moving forward. But with Mercury retrograde is that like we need to really think things through, and we also have to feel things through because the moon is going to be making a lot of different aspects this week. But we really have to just pause and think these through and not be as impulsive. This is really going to be a week of just small steps and small changes. You don't necessarily want to act really quickly on anything. You don't necessarily want to do any big purchases or big things or big actions. But what you want to do is take small steps towards your goal. This is really what's going to help you during this time, as opposed to taking that huge, crazy action. Now, I mean, if you're a particular sign, like maybe like an Aquarius or Pisces or something like that, these signs might be able to get away with it. But for the majority of us, it's probably going to be more beneficial for us to take small steps towards these goals. So those are some of the major transits that are happening. I'm going to go through day by day and let you all know what's going to be happening, what you can expect, and what the energies are. So on today, Monday, we actually have Pluto that moved to 21 degrees of Capricorn. This is major. The reason why this is major is because at first glance, whenever a sign, whenever a planet moves a degree, it doesn't really seem that big. You might not necessarily notice the changes. But you have to consider the numerology in this. So if you consider it, 2 plus 1 is 3, which is the I believe consciousness of Sagittarius. So we are really looking at our belief structure as far as to our control tactics, as far as to how society is organized, to government, to politics. So what you can expect to see, and Pluto's not going to move past this degree. It's actually going to retrograde at this degree later. So really what you can expect to see is this transformation of our belief structure about how we believe society should be organized. This is really huge because I'm pretty sure a lot of you can feel, especially those with you within the spiritual community or those who you might consider yourself light walkers or, channels and stuff like that, that our society really, it's crumbling in front of our eyes. And some people are trying to hold on to it. And honestly, all of us are trying to hold on to some aspect of the old way, but it's crumbling right in front of our eyes. And this really is going to kickstart okay, what do we believe was positive about the old structure? Because the great thing about Pluto is that it is, represents, the phoenix, right? So it's born from the ashes, right? Born from nothingness. So there is something from the old way that can be salvaged. Maybe it's just an essence. Maybe it's just an energy. Maybe it's something else. Maybe not necessarily a lot of the, physicality of what we see about our society and the way that is structured. But we all are probably clamoring to something, and now our beliefs about this control that we have clamored to, whether it's control tactics out here that we do on each other or really ourselves, because that's really what this is about. It's about how we control ourselves. We're going to have to relinquish control and adopt a new belief structure when it comes to that. Not only that, but considering the sheer fact that Pluto moves so slowly, whenever a planet, an outer planet, moves a degrees, it shifts our entire consciousness in a very profound way. So that's one thing that's happening today. We also have Mercury and Venus, which are conjuncting at 16 degrees of Aries. Now, they have been traveling alongside each other this whole time, and now Venus is finally catching up because Mercury is slowing down and it's going to retrograde later this week. So with the conjuncting here at 16 degrees of Aries, this is really huge because Mercury representing our mind and the way that we communicate, and Venus representing, in many ways, what we attract. And in many ways, people call it the planet of love and stuff like that, but it's really about what you're open to receiving. So our mind and then what we like to receive is going to meet in this spot in Aries, which is definitely highlighting projects. It's also going to highlight relationships because Venus is here. And it's going to highlight really just what do we think about the way that we have been acting, the way that we've been reacting. We're going to be thinking about our behavior so we can actually receive the things in our life that we really want to receive. But in them conjuncting here at this spot is really huge because 16 degrees also nets to a 7, which is spirituality. We just went through this major spiritual cleanse while the sun was in Pisces. I have to say, even personally, my Pisces, for me, Pisces season was vroom, 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 vroom. It was a roller coaster ride where I had incredible, beautiful, profound, just amazing days of bliss. And then there are days where I was just in the dumps and just clearing stuff and just being faced with all of my old karmic patterns and issues. And I'm but I had to learn to integrate all these things so I may move forward, and so do you. The other thing today is that the moon moves into Taurus, which the moon is actually exalted in Taurus. So this is really huge because on an emotional level, we're going to be trying to find some level of stability. We're going to be trying to find some level of comfort today. So that's what's happening on Monday. Tuesday is solstice day, the day of the new year. So the sun will move into Aries. The other thing that happens is that the north node is going to shift to 13 degrees of Leo. This is no surprise here, guys. No surprise at all. And what I'm actually going to do for this is I'm going to read to you all this really cool resource. This is essentially this person, they took every degree of every sign and they kind of gave a description for what it actually is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read 14 degrees of Leo and 13 degrees of Leo, so I can let you guys know just where our consciousness is going. Because the North Node, like I said, it represents in many ways, I like to say destiny, because it represents kind of like where our spirit is kind of aiming at, and the South Node is more or less what we have manifested. So let me just read to you all real quick what this is. So Leo 14 degrees is let's see. Yeah, it's a field of jasmine flowers. All right. So to be surrounded by love is the heart's delight. To contact the grace bestowal of love, of light, as your birthright is the greatest fanning of the human flame. When there is brightness and bounty, as far as the eye can see, their inner self knows that they are welcome to embody here. To inhabit this realm is to be in paradise, and is to bear seed from paradise, from the unfallen kingdoms into this world now. You hope and yearn to deposit that seed wherever it can flourish. This will tend to be where things are just beginning or alive with future fertilities. The seed honors the original impulse behind Earth existence, and this paean of praises, this ode to joy, remains solidly in there, ready to emerge when conditions are right and there's nothing left to do except brighten into being. That's where the North Node was, by the way. Now, this is where the North Node is currently today, as it shifts to 13 degrees. Inspired soul gifts. You are endowed with great wealth of talent and ability, the natural artist, visionary, and a tuner. Everything overflows. Huge scope, bigger than life. Issues of ego. Interesting how the sun shifts into Aries at the same time as this, which Aries rules ego. Can the self be selfless? Raw vitality and virtuoso performance. This calls for a ripening and deepening to be fulfilled. When still bold and wild, you experience great struggle against constraints. When clear and steady, there are no limitations on what can come through. The prototype for the future, giving the whole picture in all its glory. So this is really profound, because essentially what this is saying is that all of us are carrying with us this gift of these ancient, beautiful truths that have always been, and is actually behind the essence of Earth. We are all carrying this, but now it's like we have to create this new world. So when it shifts to this point of Leo, we all have these gifts to give to the world, but we are going to come up against issues. We're all going to come up against constraints. We're all going to come up against, different obstacles. And since it is at 13 degrees and that's to a 4, which is Aquarius energy, we all, while bringing this deep essence and this treasure from these old worlds and these ancient, beautiful truths, now we're going to really see what we can attract them to be. Now we're really going to see just how powerful we really are. And it's just interesting how, like I said, the North Node shifts right on the solstice day, because the North Nodes are going to shift. The next time that the sun hits this spot, the North Node will be in Cancer. So that deals more with our emotions and our feelings. So this is really, really powerful that we have this shift right now, because it's really going to show for the next 12 months and just kick off this energy of, are you really going to be authentically you? Are you really going to allow yourself to just express yourself? Because like I said, while this is dealing with the ego and we are having to recalibrate our ego to represent the new spiritual understandings that we all have gained, it's like we still have to know, it's like, okay, we have to align that ego with our heart. We have to align that ego with what our heart wants to express. That's what the North Node shifting right here is really showing. And that is Tuesday. Now, on Wednesday, we have really the only thing happening this day is the fact that the moon, which is still going to be in Taurus, is going to make an opposition to Jupiter, which is going to actually move to 22 degrees of Scorpio. So it retrograded at 23 degrees. It's going to move to 22 degrees on Wednesday. This is pretty huge because while Wednesday, honestly, I feel is going to be a very magical day. Probably one of the better days of the week. And then the reason why I say that is because with the solstice day happening on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, with Jupiter moving to 22 degrees, we actually have a harmony of energy, of four energy, Aquarius energy, the I belong energy. We're going to have a harmony of energy between Jupiter and the North Node. This is huge because North Node representing our destiny and where we're kind of going to, where our spirit is kind of going towards, and Jupiter representing expansion and fortune and really knowledge and learning. This is really, Jupiter is going to really be asking us, okay, or you want to attract these different things in your life, you're going to have to dive deep into yourself. You're going to, and we all have been while Jupiter's been here, but it's like really, it's like in order to attract this destiny that you're going towards, which we're all going to attract anyways, you're going to have to dive into yourself. You're going to have to dive into those dark places that you otherwise wouldn't dive into. You're going to have to go to those places because there is treasure there. There's treasure there. Just letting you know, there's beautiful treasure there. So we're going to have to dive here. Now, the thing about it is that since we are in Aries season, people are going to probably cross your boundaries. People are going to say things and people are going to react to different things that you say. And it may perturb you, but you may perturb other people without realizing it. So with Wednesday, I want to really urge you to take time in the first part of your day, or take time before you go out into the world to really nurture yourself. The reason why I say that is because since it moved to 22 degrees, which nets to a 4 Aquarius energy, it also rules the masses. So it might be easier today to really step on people's boundaries and go across those boundaries. It might be easier today, and it's probably going to be mostly unconscious. But if you take the time in the first part of your day to really self-nurture, you won't be as abrasive throughout the day. And really what you'll come to discover is just how beautiful this is and just the amazing treasures that we can uncover within ourselves and that we can provide for the world. And then you'll be able to kind of just see how this is all beautifully woven together. That's Wednesday. Thursday, we have, of course, Mercury stationing retrograde at 16 degrees of Aries. We have the moon, which is going to move into Gemini. So we have Mercury, which represents communication in the mind, retrograding. And then we have the moon, which represents our emotions and our feelings, moving into Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury. So it's interesting how we're going to have this communication between our feelings and our thoughts this day. All the while, Uranus moves to 27 degrees of Aries. And like I said, whenever an outer planet moves a degrees, it's pretty freaking huge because it shifts our entire consciousness in that sign in a really deep level. And since it's Uranus, it's really more of an internal thing. Uranus representing the heavens, represents electricity. So we're shifting in many ways our ego at this really this deep quantum level. Not only that, but since it's 27 degrees, it's at the 9. It nets to a 9, which actually rules Aries. That's the energy that rules Aries. So it's at this really high master level of Aries. So with Uranus moving here, it's really going to call in. It's like, okay, we really are going to be revealed to our old ways, our old patterns, our old reactions, our old actions, our old behaviors. And we're going to be asked, and with Mercury retrograding here, we're going to be asked, okay, how can we align this with our spirit that has just gone through this really big evolution? And when the moon moves into Gemini, it's going to be like, our feelings are going to be like, okay, how do we feel about these thoughts? How do we feel about this major change that we have to go through as far as our ego and this ego transformation? That's really what Thursday is. So it's going to be a day where we're all going to be very sensitive. And like I said, with the moon moving into Gemini, we're really going to be communicating our feelings. So it's like, if you're not careful, you may step on some toes. People might say things that may incite some type of reaction out of you. don't be surprised if you see some like weird stuff in the news. Nothing really too big, I don't think, but you might just see some weird stuff in the news. People might get upset about different things that they see. This might be a day where you might want to avoid social media. Honestly, I might like really limit my social media on Thursday. Just saying, because it's going to be a pretty sensitive day. On Friday, we have mostly things that the moon's going to be doing. The moon is going to make sextiles to Mercury, Venus, and Uranus throughout the day. And the interesting thing is that while the moon is doing this, Venus is also going to be squaring Pluto at 21 degrees. This is really huge because, like I said, Venus is speeding up. It's heading towards Uranus. It'll conjunct it soon next week. But Venus squaring Pluto, it's like now we're going to be asked about, okay, do you receive these old control ways? Do you receive these old ways that we organize society, that we organize governments and politics? This is not just politics on the grand scale. This is our inner politics. It's going to ask us, okay, do you receive this well? And then since the moon's going to be making sextiles to all these different aspects, it's really going to be calling into question, how do we feel about this? You know, and sextile, it's a positive energy, it's a harmonious energy. So I think it's interesting how we're going to be calling into question on this day, how do we receive these things? And we're also going to be like, well, this is what we attracted, guys. So now the moon, as it makes these sextiles to all these degrees in Aries, we're really going to get an ego check on Friday, personally, and even society at large. Because when you really think about it, societies at large do have an ego. America has an ego. Britain has an ego. You know, these different countries, they almost have taken on this personification themselves. And it's not only us that are changing, or us individually, but it's our society's egos that are also changing. So Friday is going to be a major ego check. Saturday is going to be an interesting day. Once again, it's a lot of things that are going to be happening as the moon's going to be making different aspects. We have the moon, which is going to square Chiron at 28 degrees. The moon was just here, so this is actually going to be really interesting that the moon is going to make this square to Chiron after we have gone through this this deep clearing. And anytime the moon hits Chiron, we're really going to be feeling our deep wounds and stuff. But this time, what we're going to be feeling is that, okay, it's almost kind of like we're waking up out of the anesthesia after coming out of surgery, and we're going to, and then the doctors and like all of our you know, loved ones around us, and like, oh, how do you feel? And we're going to be kind of waking up like, oh, it's like a lot of, like I said, like the surgery and all that stuff is over, but we're still going to be a little groggy. That's what I really would like to say, that the moon squaring Chiron at 28 degrees, we're going to be feeling groggy about this. We're also going to have the sun squaring Mars at 3 degrees. The sun in Aries and Mars is in Capricorn. Now, normally a square is a bit of a strained aspect because these planets don't really see eye to eye. There's a little bit of and not really a head-to-head battle, it's not an opposition, but there is a little bit of like, there's some strain here. But this one actually isn't that bad. The reason why is because the sun is in Aries. Mars is exalted in Capricorn. Not only that, but Mars is ruled by Aries. So these energies actually don't mind communicating with each other. If anything, it's more or less like this compromise. We're like, okay, the sun in Aries is going to be like, okay, so I am going through Aries and illuminating these old ego patterns. And the Mars is Capricorn. It's like, okay, I'm climbing up this mountain after going over, you know, the galactic center point and going over the destiny, and I'm going to take these gifts and I'm going to climb this mountain. So now these energies are going to kind of meet in the middle, and they're going to be like, okay, what can we do? How can we revamp the way that we react and our behaviors so we can climb this mountain that Mars is climbing in Capricorn? That's really what that is about. The moon is going to move into Cancer this day, which is its natural sign, so we're all going to be more open emotionally. We're all going to be more psychically in tune to our emotions and to the emotions of others. And while it's here, it's going to oppose Mars, so we might get feelings of, can I really do this? Can I really climb this mountain? Can I really overcome these old behaviors, these old karmic patterns? Can I really do this? There might be some apprehension on Saturday because we're wondering if we really can actually climb this mountain. We're really feeling, can we do this? The moon is also going to oppose Saturn this day. So Saturn doesn't like to play games, especially now that's in Capricorn. Saturn's gonna be like, you gotta do this, you gotta go through the fire, you gotta go through it, man, you gotta go through the labyrinth. This isn't really a time to really get super and we're going to be emotional, but Saturn's going to be like, I don't really care about that. You have a destiny, you have things to do, you have this mountain to climb, and if you spend too much time ruminating in your feelings, you're not going to make it. You're not going to climb. You're not going to move forward. I'm not saying to neglect your emotions. Not at all. I'm not saying to neglect your feelings. Not at all. But you do not want to get stuck there. That's really what this is about. You do not want to get stuck there because, like I said, Mars is really in orb to Saturn. So it's really like it's catching up to Saturn. And then on Sunday, the only thing that's happening is the moon is going to oppose Pluto at 21 degrees, which is funny because this whole thing started with Pluto moving to 21 degrees. And now that the moon is opposing this, our feelings are going to catch up to our beliefs about order, the way that we organize ourselves, the way that our society looks, and we're really going to call into question our beliefs. Our beliefs of how we organize ourselves, how we control ourselves, and we're really going to have to learn how to let go of control so we can adopt new control. Because we do need control. There's a reason why this energy exists. But we're going to have to relinquish control of how we have handled ourselves, how society has been handled, so it can reflect this new spiritual revival that we went through with the new moon. And that is really what is happening for this week. It's a very interesting week. It's going to be a very humbling week, I would say, because we have all these energies in Aries. So all of our egos are going to be firing. They're going to want to react in the old ways and the old patterns because it's all about self-preservation. But really, what's happening is that the old way is dying and the new way is being born. So this is for everyone. This is letting go. We have to let go of the old way, the old ego, and adopt a new ego that is more in line with their higher spiritual integrity. That's the overall card. It just kind of popped up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just draw cards for each of the signs real quick, and I'm going to let you guys get on your way. I hope you all have enjoyed the reading so far. And like I said, this is going to be a week where really every single day, I know I said mainly like Wednesday, that you want to take time for yourself and nurture yourself, and on Thursday you probably want to avoid social media, but really take time every day this week to nurture yourself. That's really going to be important because the moon is a pivotal player this week. The moon's it always makes aspects. It's the fastest moving planet, but it's really going to be pivotal how we really feel about this transformation. All right, so let's draw cards for each of the signs. I'm going to start with Aries since it is about to be a new year. All right, Aries, we have harmony. You are going to become, this is interesting how I actually begin this off with harmony. This is actually one of my favorite cards. So Aries, you are going to be looking to establish that inner harmony. You're going to be looking, since you are the sign of the ego, you're probably going to catch this before everyone else. And honestly, you might step on more toes than anyone else. But at the same time, on a deep soul level, you're going to understand how to harmonize with your new ego and how to align it with your new spiritual purpose and this new upgrade. You're going to get it before everyone else, Aries. So that's really positive. All right. Taurus, we have patience in reverse. So I could definitely understand. It's really, you probably have been feeling a lack of patience. This is why it's reversed. But really, Taurus, you need to take a little bit more time. Uranus is in Aries right now, so it's in your 12th house. So really, you're being changed on this deep quantum level about your spiritual beliefs and your faith and how things are going to move forward and manifest. So if you've been worrying about something that you've been trying to manifest, just have a little bit more patience. And know that your ego is being recalibrated to this new spiritual vision. So just have a little more patience. It will come, Taurus. Gemini. Gemini, we have the Two of Swords or schizophrenia in reverse. This is actually not bad. This means that the stalemate is ending between whatever your mind feels like you needed to do and the new direction that you're going to go into. This stalemate is going to end. You're actually going to get clearance to move forward into a new world, a new way of thinking, a new way of being, and you're going to attract things more into your life that more or less resonates with that higher spiritual purpose. But this is really an altering of your thinking patterns. You're going to be like, oh, I actually can do this, and you can actually have more harmonious thoughts, Gemini. Cancer. Cancer, we have intensity. This is amazing. You're going to be wanting to really push forward, Cancer. And it's actually interesting because this is a card of fire. And since we do have a lot of this energy is water, especially with the moon ending in Cancer at the end of the week, you're really going to take the information gained from this week and really push forward towards your destiny. And what I really see this as, pushing forward in terms of what your legacy will be. And, especially since the next time that the sun hits a spot, the North Node will be in Cancer. So you're really going to kind of get on a larger level that if you push forward really fast, Cancer, if you really push forward, not necessarily really fast, but if you really go for what you want in your destiny, that by the time the North Node hits the spot, you're really going to be able to be that nurturing figure that you really always want to be. Leo. Leo, we actually have isolation, or the Three of Swords in reverse. This actually is not bad. I feel like this is really your heart thawing out. I feel like this is actually you coming more forward in creating and expressing from your heart space. Like I said, the North Node does move a degree this week to 13 degrees. So really, for you, this is really about aligning your new ego with your heart. And by doing that, you're actually going to thaw your heart, the iciness, the coldness that you feel like you haven't been able to express yourself and be yourself. You're actually going to thaw it out and actually move forward. Virgo. We actually have the Nine of Swords of sorrow. This is interesting. I have a feeling that this is really you just holding on to the old reality. And now you're going to have to, oh crap, now I have to do this and that. And you're going to have to go through all of these details and try and make this new reality work, to make this new ego work. And it might bring you some sorrow because people aren't necessarily going to get all the fine little details that goes into creating reality, Virgo. And you get that, and it might bring you a sense of sorrow. What I would say is that don't get trapped in your mind. Don't get trapped in those thoughts of that you are sorrow, that things are not working. Don't get trapped in those doubts at all. I would say today, just open up to the now, surrender to the moment, and you'll see that things really are a lot more beautiful than you think they are. Libra. Libra, we have slowing down. I think this is incredible because Libra, what this is that typically when it comes to the actions that you take, you're like, okay, you think about other people and then you think about yourself. This is actually you slowing down that behavior pattern, and you're looking at like, okay, I've always acted on behalf of other people before myself. How has that really transpired and how has that helped me? Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But what I feel like is that now you're slowing down and you're considering more of yourself. You're going to be more or less adopting more, since the sun's going to be, opposite your sign. You're going to be more like kind of adopting more of that Aries energy. You're going to be like, now you don't necessarily want to just flip the script and be just like totally rash and out there and just like stepping on everyone and being super impulsive. No, what this is saying is that you need to slow down, Libra, and consider yourself more. Consider yourself, consider your behaviors, and do something for you for a change. And you will actually be able to find more balance and harmony by considering yourself more and nurturing yourself before you really just consider other people. Not that you don't want to think about other people, not that you don't want to consider them, but really take care of yourself first, Libra. That's what this card is saying. Scorpio. Scorpio, we have the Wheel of Fortune or change. This is massive. I could definitely feel this. Scorpio, you are changing on a deep level. The Jupiter is in your sign. It has been here for a while. So really, you're learning to expand, and you're learning. Really, I feel, Scorpio, that we have kind of been like in the world, but not in the world. We've been really in the tombs and at the deep depths of the ocean trying to find these treasures. And now that we have found it, we are really going to change. And this change is going to be internal at first. We're going to change our behavior. You're going to change the way that you act, react, and you really are going to show people, probably first, the beautiful treasures that can be unlocked by healing these old karmic patterns, healing these old wounds, and really moving forward with purposeful action. Sagittarius. Sagittarius, we have the dream, and sometimes we can get caught up in the dream world, and this is a very Sagittarius card too, in many ways, because it's like, Sagittarius is, they're always on the go, they're always traveling, they're always moving, and you might have been caught up on this particular dream. What I really see this as is that a revival of a dream, that now that Mars is in Capricorn, you can actually take actionable and purposeful steps to acquiring the dream. So you're not just this person just wondering, oh, this is what I want, this is what I want. You're actually gonna go get it. You're actually going to get the dream. So, Sagittarius, don't let your dreams be dreams. Just do it, okay? Do it! All right. Capricorn. Capricorn, we have awareness. This is beautiful. We like to look at our reality as solid, in this physical reality, but really the veil of reality is actually a lot thinner than we realize. So Capricorn, you are going to feel, and you're going to tap in and see behind the veil of this reality, and you're going to be like, oh fuck. And I really do mean that. I mean, oh fuck. Dang. I thought things were in order. I thought things were actually clicking, but this is actually not in order. And you, Capricorn, you want to start getting things in order. So what you're going to be doing, Capricorn, is that you're going to really start working hard so you can get things that are more congruent with that higher spiritual nature. And actually, this is actually going to serve everyone, because this is actually the age of Aquarius. We're moving into that age. So you're going to you're going to actually see people and businesses and stuff like that begin to make the shift towards this awareness for the entire populace. But this is going to begin at the quantum level of all Capricorn. So you're going to really be peering behind the veil of how this is all organized, and you're going to be like, oh fuck, this needs to change. Aquarius. Aquarius, we have the Fool in reverse. This isn't bad. This is just really, you're wondering like, okay, I am this alien. I have these weird, innovative ideas and thoughts and things I want to bring into the world, but should I really go on that adventure? Yes, Aquarius. Please be yourself. Please move forward, step off the cliff and show people that you can fly, or just walk on those invisible platforms that are actually there, or just glide to the bottom and not just smack into it, because that flowers are going to actually hold you up. So Aquarius, yes, be your quirky self, be your innovative self, actually move forward. And if you do some weird things that are out of the box and people's egos, they might react to what you're doing. And I would caution you to not react in a hostile way. Just be like, this is who I am, take it or leave it. Really. So, and Pisces. I'm sorry I laughed. We have nothingness. You are being wiped clean. The slate is being wiped clean, and now you are coming back to a state of pure potentiality. Pisces, you more than all the other signs, of course, since you felt this, the new moon was in your sign, Chiron is here, and we had all these energies in Pisces, and now everything's moving to Aries. It's like you're really going to be feeling like a blank slate. But this is also beautiful, because while there are things that you have to relinquish, pretty much everything you have to relinquish, now the world is wide open. The world is your oyster, and you are the pearl, and you can create anything you freaking want to. And that is your weekly astrological reading for the 19th through the 25th of March of 2018. I hope you all enjoyed it. Blah. My words have been a little all over the place, and I've been slipping over my words. Forgive me. But like I said, so this week we all are having our egos really just like put right in our face, all these old behaviors, all these karmic patterns, and each and every one of us are probably going to act out something in line with our old ego. But really, we're going to be like, does this really work? Is this really incongruent with my new spiritual understanding? Is this really in line with where I really want to go and how I really want to create my life? We're all going to be asked this week. We're all going to be humbled, and it's going to be a major ego check. We're going to have to learn how to let go of the old way and adopt the new. And it's fitting because this is the new year. Thank you all for joining my beautiful brothers and sisters. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and check out my other videos if you have a chance. I'm really excited because I'm actually working on a little promo video for my new website, which hopefully you guys will be able to see that sometime this week. I'm not sure when I will upload it, but it will be out shortly. My intention actually was to have the website done by today, but you know, I'm gonna go with the flow of the universe and just allow it to come when it comes. But anyways, that is all for this reading. And of course, my beautiful brothers and sisters, remember to keep moving forward, to stay focused, and Yahoo! Smile often.
Please try to understand that I'm only human. I may make mistakes at times, but I'm only human. I may hurt people, but still I'm only human. I may get depressed at times, but I'm only human. I refuse to believe that I'm just only human. I'm a product of God, you know I'm more than human. I can overcome anything cause I'm more than human. My objective is changing lives cause I'm more than human. I'm more than human. Yeah.